Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the M Word. My name's Robin. I'm the technical director here at Man & Machine, and as always, it's a pleasure to have you with me this afternoon. For those of you that are new to this session, we air these, I'm going to say most Thursdays. I usually say every Thursday, but let's say we air these most Thursdays, sometime between 2 and sort of 3 o'clock. Sometimes they're 20 minutes, sometimes they're half an hour, sometimes they're a bit longer. And the whole idea here is to share a tip, a trick, a how-to, a new feature, whatever it might be about one of the Autodesk design applications or packages that sit within their portfolio of products that we both sell and support. So whether it is AutoCAD, whether it's Inventor, Revit, Forma, ACC, or Vault, anything that makes Autodesk great again, we sell those solutions and we provide support services for those solutions as well. So these sessions are really there to try and show you something that you may not have known, something that you may knew existed but didn't really appreciate how to achieve it, or maybe a workflow that might help you be a bit more productive in your day-to-day. Alongside these sessions, we host all sorts of other topics and videos on our channel, so please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and hit the bell as well so you can see when we go live. We put new content up week in, week out. Again, some of that is short tips and tricks videos. We've recently put some up for 3ds Max and Autodesk Water products as well. And some of them are slightly longer, more in-depth, step-by-step tutorial or how-to videos or even demonstrations. So generally speaking, we've got a whole range of different products that should suit your requirements, whether you're looking at a follow me along tutorial or something in between. Today, we're going to look at Autodesk Vault. Yay! Everyone's favorite product, document management, can be a little bit boring and dry sometimes. I'm going to try and make it fun and exciting, or at least as much as I can. I'm really annoyed with myself because I've missed 2 opportunities to do some flavored M words. We could have done something on Halloween. I was off that week. My bad, sorry. We could have done something around Bonfire Night in the UK and fireworks. I completely forgot. We've got Autodesk Vault instead, which is good. Vault is a great product. It's there to help you control your documents, version control, revision control, so on and so forth. And what I'm going to show today, if you've got Vault Professional, could be something that you didn't realize that you could do inside of Vault. So Vault Professional has, and kind of always has, it hasn't always, but for as long as I can remember, had functionality in there called custom objects. You may have seen this term inside of Vault Professional before and wondered, what does that mean? Well, today I'm going to explain what that means and show you the steps that you can go through to configure your own custom object. Simply put, inside of Vault, we've got the ability to control files and we've got the ability to control items as well as those files. But outside of those 2 things, there isn't anything that we can add as a custom entity, whether it's a task list, whether it's a to-do list, whether it's some other thing that you can think of. We haven't got a way in which we can add that into a predefined area inside of Vault and then link it to the different things that we are creating day to day. The example that I'm going to use in this short M word this afternoon is with tasks. So we're going to create a task list and we're going to create some tasks on that task list, which we can then associate to a file or another thing, an item, for example, inside of the Vault. These can work through lifecycle states and contain properties, which means that we can start using things like data standard to be able to drive a better standardized bit of information against those objects and have a more defined workflow of things inside of Vault. So without any further ado, I will stop waffling and I will share my screen. So let's shrink myself down to the corner and let's share my screen. So as always, this is a real from scratch situation. I'm using Vault Professional. It's not fully up to date. Don't think badly of me. I'm running 2025.1, but again, this workflow is the same through 24, 23, 22, 21, so on and so forth. Certainly as far back as I can remember. So it doesn't really matter what version of Vault that you're using. This really hasn't changed that much, which is great because if you're on one of the supported versions of Vault, no matter what that is, and it's Vault Professional, remember, not Vault Basic, Vault Pro, you'll be able to follow this workflow. Now, what you can see on my tree on the left-hand side here is you can actually see that I've got an icon called Task List. And this is exactly what I'm going to show you how to create. I've also got this down on the bottom left on my buttons as well. I've just turned it off and hidden it just to avoid any confusion. But I can create custom areas inside of Vault using the out-of-the-box functionality. There's no need to code or do anything really that clever. And we can create these custom objects and do things with them. So let's go through together and show you how we can create a new area for tasks, and then we can assign tasks and do things with those tasks inside of Vault. You'll need to be an administrator inside of your Vault to do this process, so make sure that you are logged in as an admin. You can usually tell at the bottom of your screen, it highlights in a different color. Mine is a lovely man and machine orange. Yours by default is probably red. And then come up to the top, go to Tools, go down to Administration, and then across to Vault Settings. Once you're into your Vault settings, which in typical scenarios will load on a separate screen, you can look on the top and you'll see on the far right-hand side, you've got an area called Custom Objects. I want you to head over to the Custom Objects, and then you've got this Configure button. Now, it might be that your company has you set as an administrator, but you can't do anything in this area. There are some specific rules and some specific permissions around custom objects. So you will need to, I'll just show this as I'm talking about it. You'll need to, within your security, if I go into my groups, if I go and find my user in here and give me a little double click, when you go into roles, you've got custom objects editors and custom object consumers and custom object managers. So depending on how you're configured, you might need to enable some additional stuff to allow you to both edit and use the custom objects. But I'm just going to assume, picked something, I don't know what it was. I'm just going to assume that you've got the right permissions as I have as a full administrator. Head over to Custom Objects, and then under Edit and Manage your Custom Object Definitions, I want you to click Configure. Now, in your case, if you've not done this before, yours will be completely empty. I've got one in here that I was just using just to test this process and make sure it was all going to work okay for sharing the how-to. So assume that what you can see here is empty. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click New. Now, what we're going to do in here is we're going to define a display name for the thing that we want to create, and then a plural display name when you have lots of them. So in this case, to give this some context so that you kind of understand what that means in reality, here I have a task. And in my case, the plural display name is either tasks or task list. Whatever you put here will be placed as the name in the menu on the left. And whatever that menu creates will be a task. So in our case, I'm going to call mine something slightly different because I've already got task list here from my tests earlier. And because, like a silly Billy, I linked it to something, I now can't delete it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a name. And rather than task, I'm trying to think of another name for task that isn't task. Let's say a topic, that'll do. So I'm going to give it a name of topic. And then my plural display name is going to be topic list. They can be whatever you want, but singular name on the top and plural name at the bottom. So it could be topic and topics, could be task and tasks. I've chosen task and task lists because that works quite nicely and looks quite good from a visual perspective in the user interface. But you can choose, again, whatever it is that you want to choose. I'm going to have topic and topic list for the purpose of this. You can control that your custom object has specific security. So if we click Configure, we can choose how we want the permissions to work for that item. By default, there is no access. That means whoever is a consumer of those custom objects can go in and use them. we can, with permissions, control if we want to have a group or an individual, or even groups and individuals, to be able to use or not use those particular areas. And again, just to show this, let's pick on my friend Cameron here. Let's add him in, and let's say that Cameron can read them, but he cannot modify them, he cannot delete them, and he cannot download them. Any of you Vault administrators out there who have used any of the security procedures and protocols inside of Vault will be very used to using those sort of 4 set of permissions. You want to put in the groups that you want access or don't want access, and control what level of access that you want them to have. So can they create them? Can they modify them? Can they delete them? So on and so forth. I don't want any permissions today. I want everyone to be able to do everything with my topics lists that I'm creating. So I'm going to leave the security blank, but you can create them and change them however you want. It's also worth pointing out that this isn't a one-time thing. You can go back in and edit that security time and time again as much as you need to. We can create an icon for our custom object. So this is just going to use an ICO file, for example. So we can use the default icon, which will look like this. Pretty horrible if you ask me. Or we can use 3 dots and we can go and search for that custom object. I was a little bit prepared and just downloaded this one here. So I've just downloaded a simple ICO file from the internet, and there it is. So you can create your own inside of Photoshop or Illustrator, or find one that's relevant and use it. And this is the icon that will be displayed both in the functionality list down here on the bottom left-hand side and within the tree. So go ahead and press OK. And it's as simple as that. We have created our topic list and we are ready to go. At any point, as I say, you can go back in and edit that and change and configure any of the permissions and do whatever it is that you want. I'm just going to press close, followed by OK and close. Now you won't see anything pop up straight away. You will need to restart the Vault client, and this goes for any user that's logged in at that point. They physically won't see those changes, doesn't matter if they refresh, they won't see them until they physically log out and log back in again. So I'm just going to do just that. I'm going to, I can't see my keyboard because where we've moved the microphone is right over my keyboard, which is good because the keyboard's right next to my mouth so you can hear me nice and clearly, but bad because I can't necessarily see or even access my keyboard, so apologies. I'm just going to log in. Again, let me move the mic. There we go. So we're just going to log in here and I will pull it back onto the main screen. And you'll get a little dialog box like this telling you that it's loaded that custom object definition. You'll notice that it's also saying you're going to need to restart Vault again in order for them to work within data standard, because a custom object works with data standards. You can create your own data sheets for them. You can create your own dialog boxes for them, but data standards won't pick them up until Vault picks them up. And because we've had to restart Vault for Vault to pick them up, we'd have to restart it again to start using the data standard dialog boxes. We're not doing that today, but let's just press OK. Let me move Vault back onto the screen so you can see it. Move back onto the screen. There we go. And then you can see on the bottom left-hand side, I have my topic list, and then I have it in the menu just here. We can control the topic list and turn the buttons off and on to show and hide. And clearly, if we didn't have permissions to see it, then it wouldn't be shown in the first place. So here is my topic list. And if I go and look at that, it's currently completely empty. So now that I have that particular list, I can create new items in there. And you can see from the drop-down list at the top, create a new topic, or we can right-click on that and say new topic. Clearly, in your case, I asked you to use task, so it would be new task and create new task. So let's go ahead and say new topic. This is going to ask us to give it a name. So I'm going to say that this is a task, which is check Cameron's work. So we've got a task in there called check Cameron's work. What that task allows you to do is have a load of properties and lifecycle states and categories next to them. And you can control, much like you can with anything else in Vault, what lifecycle state it uses. So maybe it's outstanding by default, and then maybe it's complete when it's done. We can control what properties are associated with that item and have custom properties associated with it. How? Well, what we do is we go ahead and look at our options, administration, and Vault settings. And then from in there, we go to behaviors, so long as we're an administrator. If we go across into our properties and created a new property, when we're creating that property together, we can choose what it's associated with. And here we have our custom objects. So we can associate it with a custom object. If I create against every custom object, and I call this, let's say this is a task owner, let's say. So the task owner, press OK. We now have this property created. If I close a couple of times and give a little refresh, when I have a look next to my, did I not tick the box? Let's have a look again. Just edit that. Custom object. Pretty sure I told you. There we go. Do that, do that. Refresh. Perfect. Donut. So let's go and have a look in our behaviors again. You also need to go into the categories. So our properties are then linked to categories. So here you can see that we've got file, folder, and item. So let's go into my custom object category. Let's create a new custom object category, which is, I'm just going to call it task for the purpose of this. Let's make it orange. Let's press OK. And against that, I'm going to associate a property. I'm going to assign it, task owner, OK. So my tasks are going to be assigned a task category, and they're going to therefore have a property called task owner. This is also where we would give them a life cycle. To create the life cycle, we would go into the life cycles button. I'm just going to take one of the simple ones like simple release process and copy it. I'm going to call it task approval process. And in here, I'm going to link it to custom objects that are tasks. I'm going to have a state which is outstanding. I'm going to make the color of that red. I'm going to make the released state completed. And I'm going to make the color green. I'm not worrying about the rest of the properties on here. I'm assuming that you've got an understanding of how to administrate Vault and some of these behavioral definitions that I'm setting. So I've got a task approval process that I can then assign to that task category. Let's go ahead and set that as our default. That will mean if I just delete that task quickly here and create a new one, let's call it the same thing, check Cameron's work, press OK. Now that's been created as an outstanding task, which is orange because it's a task. I can see that the task owner now has a value. So it has a property that could be anything. Just the fact that I've called it task owner, I've literally just come in and just called it that. It really doesn't matter. So let's go in and grab my topic list, grab my task owner, and I'm going to put my name in there and press OK. So much like any other thing in Vault, we can have as many of those properties as you want. They can be required, they can be drop-down lists, they can be different types of formatting like a string or a number. And again, data standard will work. So if you're leveraging data standards, you can have a dialog box, different tab, a data sheet, whatever it is that you need. Now against that, I can add objects. Now I'm doing this very manually. If you had a product such as our PDM Booster product, you could have a job processor task that is customized with PowerShell, which enables you to start writing automations for these. So it could be that we have an automation that says, okay, when a CAD file goes from WIP to review, I need to set a task for my manager to go ahead and approve it, or at least review it. So we can have a job processor task that says, when the file is set for review, create a new task, link the file to the task, set the owner to the relevant person that needs to carry out that task, and sit there in their list, send a notification, whatever it might be. That means that that user can log on, they can look at their task list, and they can see that they've got an outstanding task. In my case, I'm going to do that manually. So I'm just going to go to my, my Project Explorer, and I'm just going to go ahead and find a file. Let's just go into my designs, and I'll go into Cameron's tests, as I said that we were going to use his name, and we're going to pick up, what should we use? Let's use this iPart he's got here. So against this iPart, I can link this across to my task. So if I go into Actions and I go to Attachments, I can attach different things to this task. And I can look for files or folders or anything like that that I want to attach to that particular file. If I go into my task list, grab this and say Actions, and I was looking for Attach. It's not where I expected it to be, which is a little bit frustrating. Why can't I see the attach button? Okay, ignore me. I'm obviously having a little bit of a brain fog moment. Let's just go back and do that again. Go back into this part, come up to Actions, and I can go ahead and make an attachment. I can choose to attach the task across to my component, but I can't because it doesn't show my tasks. Why is it not showing my tasks? Talking to myself, which is the first sign of madness, but in my case it's not, because I think I'm already there. But why won't it let me attach it? Crazy. You might have to take my word for it. You can definitely attach objects to that task, but for some reason it's not letting me do so, which is infuriating because I did this not 10 minutes ago. Well, maybe more like half an hour ago. So just bear with me while I get a little bit confused and think, why is it not letting me attach it? I'm going to use my friend down here. See what is going on. Going absolutely mad. So you can attach things to that custom object so that it has a link, and that's where you'll start seeing this this contents and where used. So you can come in and start linking these things together. But for some reason, my brain has decided that it doesn't want to compute, which is really frustrating, especially as this is a live session. Hang on a second. Madness. Not sure why that's not letting me attach it. So apologies for that. Mental. So what this should allow me to do, but it's not because my brain is confusing me a little bit. This should let me attach those files to that particular item. So I can come in and I can make a link between the files that I have inside of Vault and the tasks that we have within this list here. That will allow me to have one attached to the other, much the same as you've got files attached to their parents and children. Because of that, it means that we can very quickly find the task from the file and the file from the task. I really wish I hadn't lost my thought process a little bit, because this would really allow you to do that quite nicely, which is hugely frustrating. Let's just go and do it against a different file. Let's go and find something nondescript. Let's go and find something like this text file. That'll do. And let's go to our, should be, it's not attachments, it's links or something like that. Nope, it's gone. Gone. Mine's gone blank. So a little bit of a shame, not the best way to end that particular demonstration, because it doesn't give you the exact workflow that you would want to be able to see. But what I'll do is, rather than me sitting here racking my brain as to why that doesn't do what it is that I want it to do, I'm going to start to wrap up. And then once I've done that, I really don't want to wrap up, because this should work, and I don't know why it doesn't work, which is infuriating me. Why can't I link you, Mr. Topic List? Why can't I link you? Why not? Something so simple. Why are you not working? And let's just check out this drawing. Shouldn't need to be checked out. Almost like I'm missing a button. I'm sure there was a link button. Attach is when you are attaching a file to a file. So you attach a PDF or whatever it might be. I'm not going to be shameful. I'm going to go onto Google, Autodesk Vault, custom object link to a file, because I've completely had a mind blank. For task user link, definitely link. This is baffling me, because you can definitely 100% create a link between that custom object and component inside of the vault. It's not attach, it's linking. But for whatever reason, I can't find the button, which is mental. Why can't I find the button? How embarrassing. You don't need to check it out. There's nothing to get, because there's nothing there. So there's no checkout to do. Could check it out, but then there's nothing there to check out, because it's not linked to anything. There's no effective access controlling the problem. I'm going to have to do a follow-up video on this, I think. Otherwise, I'm going to be sat here racking my brain, and it's going to be infuriating. So what we'll do is I will figure out where that button's gone, because for reasons unbeknown to me, I can't seem to find the button that I need to link that to the file, which should absolutely work. And that is where the benefit comes in, is you create these, let me just undo that checkout, undo. You create these custom objects, something like a task, and then you can link your your custom objects to be able to have a seamless link, losing the name, a seamless link between the individual file and the task list or tasks, so that you can very easily find one from the other and vice versa. Why that's not working is a little bit frustrating, and I apologize, because it's very rarely that I can't really figure out why something isn't doing what it needs to do. But there we go. Creating custom objects allows you to create anything with any name. They can have custom properties, and against those custom properties, they can also link to lifecycle states as well as categories. Once you've got those custom objects, although my Vault is being a little bit painful, you have ordinarily got the ability to go ahead and link those to a folder, files inside of your Vault to have a seamless way of tracking between components and their parents or children. That allows you to create an area or areas inside of your Vault for things that otherwise Vault would not be able to find or would not be able to manage. So there's no physical file or physical thing with this object. It's just sat there as a listing that we can do things with. As I say, I will follow up with another video. I'll probably just edit this one, to be honest, and re-upload it, and just figure out why my ability to link seemingly has disappeared. And on that bombshell, let's call it there, because otherwise I'm just going to be sat here getting even more confused why the button I'm looking for is not there. So apologies to that. But custom objects, fairly easy to set up. Don't lose the link button like I did. And yeah, it gives you the ability to use Vault in ways that you may not have used it before, to start customizing and getting things managed in a more streamlined way, with or without data standard. I hope that was semi-hopeful, at least, apart from that linking option at the end. At least you managed to configure that and set it up in the first place, and we'll rectify that with an updated video showing you the process. Thank you very much for your time, as always. Take care, and we will see you at the same time next week. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.